This really was one of the more intense weeks in Washington on multiple fronts. We had major developments in the impeachment inquiry into the president. We had the backlash from the president's own party on his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria, which led to Mike Pence being sent to the region to try to negotiate a ceasefire. And against the backdrop of all of that, you had the president announcing that he was going to hold a major international summit at his own property, really raising concerns from ethics experts who say this is exactly why you can't have a president of the United States still having business interests while serving in office. So it's in one of those fast-moving weeks with a lot of major developments, all significant, all on a range of major important issues, and all raising questions about the president's political viability and his strength heading into his reelection. There are very few fans of what the president did in Syria with Turkey. His own party, U.S. allies around the world are pretty furious about the fact that we've ended up in this situation. The president is trying to now act as though he has solved a crisis, but it's a crisis of his own making. And the reality is that the solution that Mike Pence helps negotiate really gives Turkey everything that they want. And so the president may be declaring this a victory, but it's only a victory because he created the crisis that required some type of deal to be struck. We continue to learn more details about the issue that's at the center of the impeachment inquiry, which is the president's dealings with Ukraine, the U.S. foreign policy toward Ukraine. And what we're finding through public statements from White House officials and through private testimony from other administration officials behind closed doors on Capitol Hill is that this all really does revolve around the president, that there were major concerns in some pockets of the administration about the fact that the president was putting his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, in charge of Ukraine policy, essentially asking others in the administration to work with him. Also, though, the acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, stood at the White House briefing room and acknowledged that there was a quid pro quo with Ukraine, that what the president wanted was for Ukraine to look into a baseless conspiracy theory involving the Democratic National Committee in the 2016 election. Mulvaney, of course, tried to walk that back, but he is there on tape saying this.
And I have news for everybody. Get over it.
It's hard to say if anything has shifted because the president does remain wildly popular with Republican voters. And as long as he remains popular with Republican voters, he will remain popular with his own party, with lawmakers in his own party. We know privately that a lot of those lawmakers expressed concerns about the president, wish that he didn't do some of the things that he did, but they are also cognizant of their own political future, and they know they need Trump's voters. So the question is really how this plays out over time. If there's a cumulative effect of everything that we've seen this week, all of the craziness, all of the major developments, if that really does start to add up and erode his support with Republican voters, if that happens, then I do think you want to look at Republican lawmakers and see if they are feeling like their political standing requires them to put some distance between themselves and the president. But at this point, they mostly seem to be standing by him.